A lot of conventional sales techniques have not worked very well in the past, and they sure as heck don't work very well today. In spite of the millions of dollars spent annually to train corporate sales forces how to sell, they fail again and again. Let's have ourselves a pocket sized pep talk because I think I can help you figure this all out.
A Pocket Sized Pep Talk, the podcast that can help energize your business and your life with a quick, inspiring message. Now, here's your host, Rob Jollis.
Sales training has always been near and dear to my heart, but there are three major reasons why it fails far too often. First of all, the introductory and follow-up training, which virtually all salespeople receive, is not actually sales training. What most companies consider to be sales training is, in fact, product training, masquerading as sales training. This is probably the most significant contributor to why salespeople fail. They don't stop talking about their product. They've been trained that way. It's hard for me to say that all the product information that's being taught and confused for sales training is unnecessary. At the risk of offending you, my listener, I'll simply say that, in my opinion, it's far overrated. Think about the last time you made a significant decision with the assistance of a salesperson. Did you make that decision because you felt the salesperson was brilliant? Or did you make that decision because you liked and trusted the person you were working with? Another reason for the failure of sales training is that far too much time is spent teaching people to sell. Yeah, you heard that right. Ironically, this is precisely why the training doesn't work. Speak with your typical career salesperson, and they'll roll their eyes when asked to recall the number of sales courses they've been forced to attend. We become so obsessed with the latest selling techniques that the most important selling factor has been almost completely forgotten: the client. Now, here are a couple of points few salespeople will ever dispute. One, most clients go through repeatable, predictable steps when making buying decisions. And two, despite countless hours of sales training, few salespeople ever learn how their clients make decisions. A third reason that sales training often fails involves not really getting to an absolute real-world level of training. Let me give you an example of what I mean. A few weeks ago, I was putting on a program for a good client of mine, and I was really strutting my stuff. I had a right to. The client I was working for had asked that I put on a program that was as close to the real world as possible. This was a class of participants who had already gone through the basic process training, so the need to get as close to real world situations was not just smart, it was imperative. So I created classic short case studies that this client often experiences with their clients, along with the opportunity for multiple responses. Nice. The program went well, and at the end of the training session, the client and participants were really pleased. Multiple people raised their hands to tell me how helpful the day had been. Then one more hand went up. A rather timid voice said, "Excuse me, Mr. Jollis, but if we're going to be examining real-world scenarios, seeing as we're on the phone all day and these conversations are recorded, why not just use our actual calls for a program like this?" I handled the question like a pro. I told her, "That's an interesting idea. Let me think about it." In other words, I barely heard the suggestion because I was basking in the success of a program I just delivered, and I could not hear anything that didn't sound like a pat on the back. Still, the suggestion did lodge somewhere in my brain because I couldn't get it out of my head. Such a simple idea, after all. What's closer to the real world than, well, the real world? I had another client that was requesting a similar program last week and gave them a call. I ran the idea by them and they loved it. Within a day, I had a stack of audio conversations that arrived in the mail. 2 days later, I had the MP3s edited with audio tracks embedded in my PowerPoint presentation, along with exercises tracking these different examples placed in this participant guide. So, Why shoot the sales trainer? Quite simply, they don't usually teach people how to sell. They don't teach people how to ask questions and listen. They don't teach salespeople how to problem solve. They often aren't real world enough. And most importantly, they don't teach salespeople how to persuade. Shoot the sales trainer? Remember, I'm a sales trainer, and I say if we aren't teaching the basics, get rid of us. We need to stop fooling ourselves into thinking that the basics of selling are instinctive. They're not. I make a living not only teaching salespeople, but observing them as well. I don't hear questions being asked. And when I do, I certainly don't hear open questions being asked. What I do hear is, oh, I learned that a long time ago. Well, if it isn't being reinforced, it isn't being implemented. Product knowledge continues to overpower selling knowledge, and learning real, live selling skills, including the art of creating trust and urgency in a consultative manner, will go a long way to keeping anyone from shooting the sales trainer.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate and recommend it on iTunes, Outcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information on this show and Rob at jollis.com.